I'm almost 100% sure that either an NCAA record or a world record held by Katie Ledecky will still be around when I'm dead, even if I live to be like 169. And speaking of old people, did you know that 101-year-old Mighty Mo, nicknamed Mighty Mo, her real name is actually Maureen Kornfeld. She did 100 backstroke, completed 100 backstroke at the 2023 Masters Swimming Nationals in 3 minutes, 33 seconds, and 16/100ths. Finished 100 backstroke at 101 years old. Good for you, Maureen. But back to Ledecky. You saw it in the title, so there's no reason to dance around the topic. She's the greatest freestyler that has ever freestyled in the swimming pool. My mind's not getting changed on this one. I'll be real clear about that before we go into me trying to change your mind on the topic, if it even needs to be changed at all. If you already agree that Katie Ledecky is the greatest freestyle swimmer to ever freestyle swim, then go ahead and hit that like button. Why not, yeah? Let's get this video to 1,500 likes because Katie Ledecky holds every single world record in the 1,500 freestyle. 1,500 long course, boom, Ledecky. 1,500 short course, boom, Ledecky. 1,650 short course yards, where we do a yards conversion to meters, and so 1,650 yards is similar to 1,500 meters. Boom, Ledecky again. She's the distance goat, the distance pool goat, that is. Greatest of all time. I don't think there's any arguing who the greatest open water swimmer of all time is. But after the way Katie Ledecky swam at the 2023 U.S. Swimming Nationals in Indianapolis, where she continued to fire off some of the fastest times in history, I had to jump on here and go on a quick rant. In her marquee events, the 800 and 1,500 freestyle, she went 8:07:07 in the 800 for the third fastest time in history, third fastest performance in history, and 15:29:64 in the 1,500 freestyle, aka the mile, for the sixth fastest performance in history. And just a disclaimer, when I say sixth fastest or third fastest for a performance in Katie Ledecky's 800 or 1,500 region, that basically means that she's just kind of shoving one of her times in amongst all of her other times. So if it wasn't for how good she is and how consistently good she has been at the 800 or 1,500 distance, she would be breaking the world record in the event essentially. But I'm sure at this point, there's at least one person out there typing up a little type comment with your type fingers saying how distance swimming isn't the only type of freestyle swimming, and her being really dominant in the 800 and 1,500 doesn't mean she's the freestyle goat. Saying something like Ledecky's only a distance swimmer. Wrong. She's much more than that. Boom. Pull up the medal count on the screen next to me from her Wikipedia page. Yep. Check that out. I couldn't even screenshot it. It was so long that I couldn't even screenshot it. So I had to put like a little scrolling video of me scrolling through her medal table. The only other people that you would really have to do that with, I would assume, would be like a Phelps or a Lochte. And Lochte collected like pretty much every short course meter, gold and silver and bronze medal over the course of his career that he possibly could. But just for fun, we'll zoom out and show you what a screenshot would look like if I had to take a screenshot of her Wikipedia medal count page. I mean, come on. You'd need a microscope to be able to read what event she won which medal in. But I'll help you out and provide some context on a few of these medals in particular while I leave this obnoxiously zoomed out screenshot on the screen next to me. They all say freestyle after the event name. Many of them distance, certainly. But how about this one? Is that an Olympic gold in the 200 freestyle? I wouldn't necessarily call 200 freestyle distance freestyle. What about this one? Yep. Wait, Katie Ledecky was on a 4x100 freestyle relay? Well, maybe she just got carried to an Olympic medal in that race, right? Let's take a look at the splits. Wrong. Ledecky was 52.6 in prelims and came back and went 52.7 in the finals. FYI, Kate Douglas just won U.S. Nationals in the 100 freestyle in a 52.5. Yeah, Kate did it flat start, and Katie did it from a relay start, but at the same time, you cannot argue that Katie Ledecky is not elite in the 100 freestyle while she's firing off 52-second 100 freestyle splits on relays. We already pointed out how elite Katie is in the 200 freestyle. Remember when we talked about that? Remember when I talked about her winning Olympic gold? Are you going to go down in the comments section and say that winning an Olympic gold doesn't signify that you're elite in a specific event? Are you going to do that? You shouldn't. But what more do you want in the 200 freestyle? Do you want me to bring up the fact that she's been 153 plus on multiple relays, not to mention how clutch she was on the 2022 Team USA 800 freestyle relay? 153.67, fastest split of the entire event. She's the only swimmer to go sub 154.00 in the entire event at the Olympics, the Olympic event, you know, the one where the entire world swims. Is your argument starting to fall apart? Why you might think Katie Ledecky might not be the fastest freestyler, greatest freestyler of all time? Well, let's recap a little bit what we talked about so far. Ledecky's an elite 100 freestyler. She's an elite 200 freestyler. And now, if we look at the 400 freestyle, she's held the world record in the event and is, I would argue, the most consistently elite swimmer swimmer in the 400 freestyle in history. She won an Olympic gold in the event. She's held the world record in the event. And she's also won 4 world championship titles in the 400 freestyle. But now comes my favorite part, the most fun part of this video, the part where you can't argue a thing and you just got to sit there and listen. The 800 and 1500 freestyles. In an effort to save some time, because some of you think I talk too much on this channel, well, guess what? Go watch another video. You don't have to be here. Okay. I'll just go ahead and loop in the 800 and 1500s together. Okay. Quickly, though, I'd like to see if anyone could come up with another name, go down to the comment section and leave the name of a swimmer that is known specifically for being so far ahead of some of the other fastest swimmers in the world, being so far ahead that she's known for swimming in the opposite direction at events like the Olympics. We're not talking about a pro series meet, a state championship meet, a sectionals meet, although she has broken world records at sectional meets before. We're talking about the Olympics. We're talking about world championships. She's taken over 22 full seconds off the world record in the women's 1500 freestyle since she broke it back in 2013 at like 16 years old. And since we're on the topic of world records, if you actually go to Katie Ledecky's Wikipedia page and hit Command F on your computer, which does a query, you can type something in and it'll tell you how many times some word is, said throughout that page, and it'll show you exactly where it's at. We're not worried about the location of these words. We're worried about how many times world record comes up on Katie Ledecky's Wikipedia page. You can go do it for yourself. I did it. It comes up 64 times. 64 times. A weird data point, but still. Katie is the top 15 times in the 1500 freestyle after her performance at US Nationals just recently. She has the top 30 or something. I think it's around 30 times in the women's 800 freestyle. It's hard to keep track at this point, but I'm sure NBC or whoever is producing world championships here locally for me will put up some ridiculous graphic that'll be screenshotted by Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, the whole lot, and put out on Twitter about how many times Katie Ledecky has quote unquote broken the world record in the 800 freestyle and swam faster than anyone else has in history. And at this point, I just don't see any other names even sniffing the title of greatest freestyler of all time. Maybe a distant second would be Marshall Mathers out of Detroit, but it is a distant second. Other names you might want to toss into the argument might be like an Ian Thorpe, who similarly to Katie exploded onto the screen at a really young age and still holds one of the fastest times in the 400 freestyle. Ana Marcela Cunha, one of the greatest swimmers of all time. She is undoubtedly the greatest open water swimmer of all time. I just didn't loop her into this conversation because I think open water swimming and pool swimming are honestly pretty close to different sports at this point. She is the GOAT of the open seas, if you will. Shane Gould, Janet Evans, Alex Popov, Matt Biondi, Shirley Babashaw, Sarah Shoystrom, Kyle Sockwell, Cesar Cielo. There have been a ton of great freestylers, and you're free to comment your argument for any of them below, but there can only be one greatest freestyler of all time, and that for me is Katie Ledecky. The last argument you might want to make, some of you might have been thinking about making this argument, but I'm going to go ahead and nip that in the butt right now, is that it might be unfair to compare people from different eras. So comparing someone from the modern era to someone of a previous era, but my response to that would be trying to use that argument would quite literally just further solidify my argument for Katie Ledecky being the greatest freestyler of all time, because as we go more modern and as the sport grows, long-term dominance, especially the level of dominance Katie has shown, just becomes more and more difficult as athletes specialize and as the talent pool of competitors grows in our sport. Case closed. Let's get this video to 1,500 likes in honor of Katie Ledecky's ownership of the 1,500 freestyles. Subscribe if you want more videos like this to pop up on your home screen, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.